Good morning, viewers across the continent of Africa. This is Punchline Africa Television, the online television for the last 7 years. Thank you very much. We have done our job again on diplomatic circles. This is Diplomatic Leaks show by Dr. David Matanga. And across in Nairobi in Kenya is none other than Miriam Ogutu and our correspondent Gladwell Kirago. Good morning, all of you. Good morning, all the people across there. Thank you very much. Thank you. And let's make it work. Today, we are looking at the topic that Miriam will present us, that is Somalia. Somalia goes to elections, and the type of elections are also questionable. There are elections of negotiated democracy. Negotiated democracy could be the best in circumstances of a war. Let me not waste many words. Let me cross over to Miriam to bring us to date. You notice that today our topics touch elections, and that's how we choose that we have chosen to touch on elections. Miriam, bring us facts. Good morning. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much. And the latest is that presidential elections are scheduled to be held in Somalia on the 15th of May 2022, just a few days away, but maybe 4 days away. The election will be held indirectly, and after the elections for the House of the People, which began on the 1st November 2021 and ended by 13th April 2022. The elections were first scheduled to end on 24th December 2021. However, by 25th December, only 24 out of the 275 representatives had been elected, and the ongoing political crisis further complicated the matters. The current President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed has been in office since the February 2017 election, and his term expired on the 8th of February 2021. However, it was extended until after the elections will be completed. On the 10th of January 2022, Somali leaders announced they struck a deal to complete presidential and parliamentary elections by February 25th after repeated delays that have threatened the stability of the country. The agreement was reached after several days of talks hosted by Roble, the former prime minister, with I think the current as well, with state leaders aimed at ending an impasse over the polls. On the 25th of February 2022, the presidential elections was further postponed to March 15th, and on March 15th, the presidential election was again further postponed to 31st of March in order to complete the election of House of the People. So the election of House of the People completed, and the Senate, and who are elected through clan leaders and other civil societies and all that. So they arrive at a certain number. So it is the legislators that now will select, or rather elect, the president. And of course, the current president, Farmajo, has already given his name for a re-election. And from the reports I was reading yesterday from Somalia, right now, there are 20 candidates who have already been cleared to run for these elections, and there's a possibility that that number might go to even up to 30. So, Doc, you think we have a lot of candidates? Somalia now, the presidential candidates could go up to 30. And remember, we only do have a certain amount of legislators who will be tasked with the mandate of electing, or rather selecting, the next president of Somalia.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for all those updates. First, I want to say we thought Kenya had 47, now we see Somalia 30. Somalia, from 1991, has been a battlefield of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I believe the ugly have always been more ugly sins than good sins in Somalia. I believe Mogadishu has seen its own children perish day in, day out. The question here is, Miriam, we don't care about the number of people that will be on the ballot. The question is, will the outcome bring peace in that nation. That is the bottom line that I want to tackle this afternoon, this morning. Somalia is a country besieged by forces of terror. Somalia is a country besieged by forces of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Al-Shabaab. Somalia is a country that benefits from regional situations like in Eritrea, where they actually obtain arms to come and kill the people of Somalia. The world is watching. Ukraine is on fire, but the whole world came to stand still. Even the Ukrainian president wanted us to be addressed. He wanted to address Africans as if we were near Russia. He wanted to talk to us, to our presidents. But nobody talks about Somalia more than the United States is capable of stopping the war of Somalia within days. Just as they have given Ukraine the most sophisticated weapons to defend itself against Russia. But for us in Africa, we have talked and talked and killed and killed and killed and killed and killed millions. We have continued to kill each other without the United States of America battering, without Europe battering, without France battering, without embargo, without putting sanctions. Nobody has put sanctions on the terrorists or the funders across who fund Al-Shabaab to kill us in Somalia. Are the elections in Somalia going to bring peace? My answer is, it is very far from even bringing a small or half peace. The peace that you see after these elections, if Farmajo wins the second or the third term, I don't know which term he wants to win, there will be no peace in that region. Farmajo is the most disturbing factor in Somalia and its neighbors. Farmajo is the most disturbing president who has disintegrated the unity of Africa. Farmajo looks more to Islamic states, looks more to organization of Islamic organizations in Cairo or in Saudi Arabia or in Turkey or in Dubai or in Qatar more than he looks at us. He looks more to Turkey than he looks at Africa. The Africa we don't learn. The Somali people are the people we have helped. There is no country in Africa which does not have a Somali who has a shop, a hotel, a business, a car hire company, a sweet shop. Almost every country in Africa has a Somali national, because Somalis were the most nationalistic people on this continent of Africa. During Siad Barre's time, Somalia provided passports for the Africans, South Africans who were running away from any dictatorship of the southern part of Africa. If you go to South Africa today, most of the top honchos of South Africa have Somali passports today in their suitcases and wardrobes. It is true that Somalia was a nationalistic country, a country that looked at Pan-Africanism as a venture of integrating this whole continent. But today, look at the mess we are in. Is this mess our mess? Who has extended mess on us, Miriam? Who has brought the chaos that we see in Mogadishu? Is it funded by external forces? Are there external interests that make sure that Mogadishu and Somalia remains the boiling pot of Africa? As we sit down and sip our tea in Mogadishu, as we sit down and look at electing our president, a new president, a patriot of Somalia, The only time that I've seen peace in Somalia was when Islamic courts, headed by Sharif Ahmed Sharif, were in power. Miriam, there was rule of law, there was order there, according to the Islamic rule of law in Mogadishu. People were disciplined. I went there as a journalist to interview Sharif Ahmed Sharif, and our interviews were successful, and we flew back to Nairobi and went. Those days, that was almost 20 years past. Today, Somalia poses a threat to the region. Today, Somalia poses a threat to the neighbors. Today, Somalia becomes a burden. Somalia becomes a burden. Is it time for us to rearrange Somalia? When I talk of rearrangement of Somalia, it's the same way we have rearranged Congo. Although in Congo we seem to be having more difficulties, the deeper we go, the worse it becomes. The killings, the machinery that we have sent in Congo seem to be backfiring. And as I've been saying, Africa, we never learn. Because the people sitting on table to discuss about the rebels are the same people funding the rebels, are the same people funding the terrorists. Who is funding the terrorists in Somalia? There must be a nation somewhere in the world that gives the terrorists new uniforms. So have we found the root causes of why Somalia remains a boiling pot? Will these elections usher in a peace that we want? The answer is no. Thank you.
Very well. Gladwell.
Miriam, you know the problem with the doc coming in first, he says everything. I have nothing more to add.
Okay.
No, I didn't come in. I did my takeaway. Now we can discuss from that takeaway. Thank you.
Yes, and the takeaway carries everything.
That we are going to use. Yes. There are a few words that you have picked from the takeaway, so you can discuss that. And that's the way, so that we don't go for hours and then Miriam and I, our throats go down. So we have to keep our throats to the mark. We have done a lot, 6 years, 7 years of literature. I've come to the pathway also now of brains. So Miriam, that's it. That's not how the thing is. It stands that way. We need to usher in peace. Yes or no? My answer is no.
Okay. Mine, I think we'll wait and see. I don't want to be pessimistic, but going from what we've been seeing in the past, it's very difficult to be hopeful and to know what to expect as far as Somalia's elections are concerned. But at least I'll give it to them. They agreed on the date, and nothing has happened yet, because they're used to giving a date, then just days before that they change it. But I see they're stuck to it. Of course, this is due to some coercion from countries like the US and other major donors in Somalia that have said these elections must go on no matter what. We've seen attempts to push the election further, judging from how many times that has to be postponed in the past. But for them having committed to this date, and we see there is a high possibility that this election will happen, then I think that's a good thing. And I think when we're having these conversations, even in the past, we've said that as much as the rest of us wants to come in and pacify Somalia and help Somalia and hope that they become peaceful, until they're able to get the matters in their own hands, the Somali people and the leadership and the people as a whole, then we can't want something for them more than they want for themselves. So for them coming together and agreeing and sticking to this date, I think is very important, and it's a very important step as far as moving forward for Somalia is concerned, because a lot of decisions and issues were hinged on these elections that have kept being pushed back and forth for a very long time. So the fact that it's going to happen, I think it's a very important step towards now realizing fully, perhaps a stable Somalia as soon as possible. Now that I think is yet will be seen if at all Farmajo comes back and continues with his policies and continues with whatever it is that he's been doing, and some of which has not been working well for Somalia. And that is yet to be seen, if at all the Somali people will decide to, not Somali people, but the members, the legislators, 325 of them, 275 in the lower house and 54 from Senate. If they majority of them select that Farmajo will continue or somebody else will come in, then that is yet to be seen. I think from there we can easily see perhaps project where the future of Somalia will look like, depending on who will emerge the winner from this election. And I think, Doc, you started there in your submission by saying that if the U.S. wanted, the U.S. could stop the war in Somalia because of the kind of support we've been seeing the U.S. offering Ukraine. Well, the U.S. offered some help in Somalia a few times. They were responsible for killing through the drone attacks we've seen in the Al-Shabaab, but also another report came out yesterday that said these drone attacks, as much as they targeted the Al-Shabaab and these extremists, but they also had a big effect on the civilians who became casualties on these unfortunate incidences. So since this stopped, then targeted attacks towards the Al-Shabaab have just resulted into that, and there has been fewer civilian casualties. So I guess that is a nice thing. So the U.S. drones were causing more harm to the civilian than the way it did by taking down the extremists. But the reason why perhaps the U.S. is not really going as hard on Somalia, and it has been a key supporter of Somalia, but that depends. It always depends on their, the interest they have. The interest they have in Somalia. Remember, even in the maritime war between Kenya and Somalia, the U.S. strongly supported Kenya on this regard. So that is the interest, because it feels Kenya is a key partner as far as tackling extremism in this region is concerned, and so they supported Kenya in this regard. And their interest in Somalia may not be as much as that compared to the one they have in Ukraine, as far as their key foe is concerned, which is Russia. The key nemesis is concerned, which is Russia. So the interest they have in Somalia is minimal compared to what they would have in Ukraine. So that's why they're really not keen on supplying Somalia. Plus, the Somalia government has been accused of even sometimes colluding with these criminals. So you will give it, you will give it these arms, and then it will start fighting the KDF. Who knows? I'm just saying that reports in the past have shown. So you can't trust them by equipping them with this. You can't trust them.
Is it, Miriam, you have brought something very, very important here. And before we close, there is the question of you can't trust them. Who are those that you can't trust? The Somalis.
You can't trust the government. You can't. If the National Intelligence Service issues a statement that Al-Shabaab will come and refute, they're saying these people are lying to you. So you don't know whether to trust the terrorists or the government intelligence agencies. So in how they've been handling even the issue of security in that country, you can't trust to give them these sophisticated weapons in their hands. You don't know whether they'll try driving out now it's not AMISOM, it is ATMIS. So you don't know the African, the African transitional mission in Somalia. They changed it, and another blow to Farmajo, because he wanted the Somalia security services to be the ones responsible during this election. But that has changed, as the outgoing President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo may have suffered a major blow following the allocation of security responsibilities in the just upcoming presidential election, which is scheduled for May 15th. After a long wait, Farmajo, who officially registered as a candidate for the election, has been pushing to have Somalia National Army to take over security responsibilities, adding that the African Transition Protection Mission in Somalia, ATMIS, should just assume peripheral roles. During the elections of MPs and subsequent House leadership polls, Farmajo insisted that the country cannot afford to give ATMIS the responsibilities to take over security. This almost created a friction between him and Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble, and on Monday, the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Presidential Election released a strict security timeline for the upcoming polls, which seemingly goes against the wishes of the outgoing president. So he wanted the Somalia army to take over the security matters, as we see in normal functioning countries, but we know, even it appears they cannot trust this army, so it is the ATMIS security details that will be taking care of, one, the presidential candidates, and two, the legislators who will be performing this very important, role of voting in the coming president. They can't be trusted with the Somalia to offer security to their own. Do you understand how how deep that is? So ATMIS will be taking care of the legislators' security, those who are expected to vote, 329 of them, and will be taking care of the presidential candidates to make sure they're safe, because it appears that even the Somalia army or the security operators there, they cannot be trusted to do that job. So why do you want to equip them?
Now, thank you very much. There are 2 points that I want you to you have said it very nicely. And Kiragu, that is why I told you there's a lot to be discussed here, Kiragu. Look, there is 1 point, Miriam, that you have made. Somali nationalism. You don't know whether they like you or they don't like you. You don't know which side they are. They have that tendency. They have one religion, one culture, one language. But when it comes to nationalism, they can team on you and throw you out. They did that on Ethiopians. They told the Ethiopians to leave, and the Ethiopians left with their trousers and the shoes, half shoe, one shoe, they left it behind. So there is that sense, and it is good that the Presidential Commission on Elections decided that the security must be multi-purpose security of all agencies. Otherwise, Farmajo was trying to create a coup that if the security is handed over to the Somalis and they lose elections, then he could tell the other soldiers to take over power in Mogadishu. That too, the question of external forces, how long can they stay there? For example, the strategy for exit of Somalia must begin working now. Any scholar will tell you, if you don't have a strategy of exit on Somalia, Miriam, how long will you stay there? How long will you stay to fight? How long will you make advances? How long will you defend the people who don't like you? How long shall we defend? That we should devise a method. For example, people know these terrorists. They know where they are. They know how they operate. They live with them. They come and stay in the hotels, and then tomorrow they blow up people. You think they stay in trees or under the water? No, they stay on the ground. They are among the people. So why can't we do this? Let's devise a method. The head, the heart, and the stomach is a strategy of winning a conflict. The head, the heart, the stomach. For example, nobody has ever suggested that if you bring 100 guns of AK-47, we give you one container, refrigerated, for you to go and fish, go and do fishing in the Indian Ocean, and sell the fish to the big troughs that come around there, that carry fish illegally. At the moment, as you look around the Indian Ocean, there are countries that are fishing illegally. Fish in their country is finished. Miriam, they have come for our fish. It is here. It is around there. One of the fights why these countries still stick around there is the fish, plenty of fish, because fish has found a breeding ground around it. The areas of the cool waters, Like on Lake Victoria, the cool waters are near Mugingo Island. And don't ask me about Mugingo Island because it is a sad story. I don't want to go into it. You know, the cool waters of where fish can breed. Fish does not like the waters running. The other part of Lake Victoria, there are rivers going through. Kagera is pouring there. Another river from Tanzania is pouring there. It pours in the lake and the lake is disturbed. Therefore, the fish cannot settle down to breed. But on the Indian Ocean, East African coast, fish breeds around the area of Somalia, where the waters are cool and quiet. So most of the shipping agencies, the shipping lines, the fishing agencies from Philippines, Japan, Norway, Sweden, all the big countries in Europe, they have come down for this fish. They take that fish. Okay, can we give a container and a boat to anyone who brings us 100 AK-47s? 100 AK-47 is equal to one container refrigerated. The youth will work in that container. They will create small shops in Mogadishu, in Kismayo, and then they go and fish and keep the fish in refrigerated containers. When these countries come with the shipping nets and on the Indian Ocean, they sell the fish to them. But what is happening there? The youths are deprived of the fish. They don't fish in the waters. They are left at a 0 point, and there is no employment for them. They are easily recruited. And another factor you raised, we have a very bad neighbor near Somalia, and that neighbor is called Eritrea. It's a state that is a closed state. It's a closed state. Imefungwa, closed. When you go to Eritrea, have you ever gone to Asmara? I've been to Asmara. I had to pick a phone and I called the president himself. And I told him, I have reached the airport. They are telling me to remove the hard disk of my Miriam. Have you ever seen some African countries? I think we're in a stone age. How do you remove the hard disk of your laptop and leave it? Surely, you have gone for a visit to see people for 2 days, and you are going to have that, and then they take your hard disk, they take your laptop, and screw out. That is Eritrea. I went there. I had to shout at the airport. And I said, I know the president. And I will call him because he was working with me in London. He was a refugee like me in 1987. Let me call him. Then they said, no. They are now talking Arabic. Me, I don't understand Arabic. Let me call him. How do you tell me that you are unscrewing my teeth, that we leave the laptop here to be brought to your office? How do I know you will bring the laptop with Miriam, with something inside it blows me up? No, until they say, oh, you should have told us you are coming to see the minister and the president, we could not have a problem. Then I said, Allah, so if someone is not going to see the president, it means you have to leave your laptop here. Eritrea is one of the worst places, a nightmare in Asmara, where everything takes place, including terrorism. Thank you very much, viewers. That is the Africa we have. Kiragu, do you have anything else before? Now we have expanded. You have picked something, have you?
Yes, Doc, and just an overview of, I think, Africa, we are affected in general, in every country in Africa. I think there are 3 factors that actually affect the development and the growth. Most of the corruption and the bad governance, the leadership. And in the morning, I loved the topic because we're talking about integrity and leadership. And I think this is what Africa lacks. We have the good leaders who instead we throw them out to lead us. And we have the corrupt leaders on the forefront who leads. And that's why Africa, and most, 99% of Africa, there is development, yes, but there is no money in people's pockets because of the poor governance, the corruption, the greed in leaders. So I think it's high time we as Africans, we as Kenyans, and general Africans, we need to come up with a strategy as we do our elections. I'm glad Somalia is going to do an election, and I hope they actually get the best leader who will lead them out, because with the Somali doc, as Miriam said, I personally even don't trust a Somali living near me. I can't, because I don't know what next the person is planning. Because everybody, when we talk about Somali, the first thing that creeps in the mind is the Al-Shabaab. These people have killed people. They have made people to suffer. We've got our KDF there who have lost their lives. They went to fight for Kenyans, but they came back in corpses. And again, Doc, with the Somali, they have also a tradition. Let me say it's sort of a myth. But I find it a little bit queer and funny, whereby they say the more you kill, the more you get, I can't quite remember, the more you go to heaven. I can't remember, Miriam can correct me on that. They have such a myth that the more you kill, the more, I don't know, something related with heaven. So also, they're also living in the past in some thinking. And as Doc, you've said, I think also the neighboring countries matters. Most of the Eritrea, I've had a history of Eritrea, and for sure, it's a country, it's a landlocked country, yes, but a country that is very terrific, I submit.
Thank you very much. And lastly, Miriam, as we leave this topic this morning, this afternoon, I don't know, the internet is playing. As we leave this topic this afternoon, Miriam, how can you have integrity when the Speaker of Parliament himself has chosen a side and he throws out a report because he belongs to the same group of the man he doesn't want to talk? How do you have a parliament when the Speaker of Parliament says he fell in the office when he was caught with a woman and then of somebody's wife? So these are integrity cases, So I wanted to end on that light note. No, Miriam, you break your hand and then you tell us my hand was broken, I was in the office. What is in the office that breaks you? Is there a bathroom? Now reports emerging say different things, allegedly. Disclaimer. Thank you very much, viewers. That's the Africa of elections. The choice is yours. Are we choosing thieves? 40% of the people are thieves, and we have allowed them to go on the ballot. Wacha wanawaiba, watawaiba. Watakuja na mafia. Are we creating a mafia state, Miriam? Ma'am, are we creating a mafia state? Italy. Do you know that Italy created a mafia state through such elections? In Italy, everybody, Berlusconi, everybody knew that Berlusconi, mwizi, anaiba corruption, anaiba nini, anaiba pesa. But they elected Berlusconi. He could go out and come back and go out and come back because Italy is built of mafia state of Sicily. It is normal in Italy for you to have your bakery because Italians like the bread, that pasta, bread, this. But you are cooking for somebody. Did you know that? In the evening, you have stood there selling. Then somebody comes and says, have you finished? Can I have the money? Are we heading there? Are we heading there? Thank you very much for watching and listening to us from 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock, in the morning up to now. I wish you a good luck. My candidate in Philippines won with a landslide majority of 26 million votes. So I wait for Baba to give us a landslide victory in August. the return of the Marcos. After 26 years of the Marcos, Maida Marcos, the woman who had 3,000 pairs of shoes, the son, is back in the Philippines. Miriam will bring it later on the Spora Dispatches this afternoon at 3 p.m. Don't go away. This is Punchline Africa, the only station in Africa that talks about Africa, for Africa, by Africa,